special call meeting of the Board of Trustees of the United ISD. Today's Monday, April 19, 2021. Time is 5:35 p.m. We're at SAC room number 2, Fine Art Building, here at 5208 Santa Claudia Lane, Laredo, Texas. And we're going to begin with roll call. I'd like to have each member recite their name for the record.
Ricardo Medina Senior, District 1.
Ricardo Rodriguez, District 2.
Alisa Oliveros, District 3.
Javier Montemayor.
Roberto Rodriguez, District 6.
Francisco Castillo, District 7.
And myself, Ramiro Vélez. Thank you. Let the record show that the quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and the notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Chapter 551. If I can please have everybody please stand up. We'll recite the pledge of allegiance and the Texas pledge. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to public comments. I have some public comments. I'm going to go ahead and, not sure if they're in any particular order. I have them here. Everybody signed up, so I'm going to recite the name, and if I can have the individual here to the podium. For the sake of time, we are going to limit public comments to an hour, a minute and 30 seconds. For each public comment, I think we have a little bit over 10. We're going to start off with Ms. Claudia Gonzalez. I'll go ahead and keep the time. Thanks, sir.
Good evening, members of the board. Today, I stand before you as a student, parent, and educator. Mrs. Rendon was my second grade teacher. As an ESL immigrant Spanish-speaking student, I was scared. Mrs. Rendon, back then Ms. Sandoval, made me feel safe, welcomed, and nurtured. I learned. She provided that safe learning environment for me to grow. Any parent can agree, this is what you want daily when leaving our children in your hands. As a parent, knowing my children are in the care of a leader like Mrs. Rendon, I can confidently say they are receiving the best education with endless possibilities as UISD always strives for. As a former administrator, I always felt I could count on a knowledgeable, well-rounded, and empathic leader to this district. The student's best interest is always at the forefront of her mission and daily decision-making. There was always support, no matter how small or big the task was at hand. Her knowledge, vision, and relentless composure, even through the most challenging of times, are a great asset to this district. I thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Mr. Diego E. Vasquez.
Good evening, esteemed members of the school board. Thank you so much for allowing me the honor of speaking to you about my experience with Mr. David Gonzalez, as well as the surmountable impact he has made on both my personal life and my professional life. As a child, I lived the life of a military brat, traveling with my family from Puerto Rico, Berlin, Germany, Georgia, and Texas. May God bless my father for his service and for being one of the two most important male authority figures in my life, together with Mr. Gonzalez, who was my previous principal at Washington Middle. Both of them have been heroes to me. My father for saving lives abroad in combat, and Mr. Gonzalez for helping me and my classmates be guided through one of the roughest, most confusing phases of our lives, middle school. I'll never be able to repay him for working closely with my parents to educate and take care of me during my middle school years, as my father bravely fought for our country and my mother selflessly worked for the district as an AP Spanish teacher in United South High. As blurred as my memories from middle school may be today, I can perfectly remember feeling extremely stressed since I was being constantly bullied and peer pressured in school, not to mention the culture shock that I was experiencing from recently moving into a border town. I proceeded to act out and I misbehaved a fair amount. I became self-destructive and did not have a healthy outlet to express myself or to seek guidance during my phase of teen angst. Mr. Gonzalez was that helping hand who guided me throughout my life. His character, his leadership skills, and his competence as an educator enabled him to tell me exactly what I needed to hear to change my whole perspective of my own worth as a human being and my life. Some of the lectures and pep talks I received from Mr. Gonzalez still inspire me today. He treated me like his own son, and he knew just how to discipline me and encourage me so that I could succeed. I thank the Lord every day for bringing me, my father, back home to me. But in case he may have never made it back, I knew that Mr. Gonzalez would have helped me pursue my education. I'm pleased to have witnessed the development of Mr. Gonzalez from my middle school principal in Washington Middle to associate superintendent and one of the top 4 inspiring leaders for TASA. I would love to continue seeing his growth, and I fully trust Mr. Gonzalez to supervise the district that currently employs my mother and my girlfriend, and the district that has cultivated my siblings and me to be the successful, productive individuals that we have become. My wish is for me to be able to share with the community the impact Mr. Gonzalez has had on me, and for him to gain a platform that may enable him to make an impact on as many lives as possible. I believe that by becoming superintendent of UISD, he will transcend every expectation while creating an educational, safe, and caring environment for our community, which deserves no less. If UISD truly strives to create a sense of belonging, development, and achievement for its students, then there is no one better than David Gonzalez. With him, I can truly say that we belong, we evolve, and we achieve.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you.
And the next individual is going to be Ms. Noemi G. Lacey.
Mesa directiva del Distrito Escolar Independiente Unido, maestros, señoras y señores, tengan ustedes muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Mimi García Lacey y tengo el placer de conocer a la señora Gloria Rendón por 27 años. Soy orgullosamente madre de 2 estudiantes graduados de United ISD. He trabajado como padre de familia en diferentes comités con varios superintendentes, varios directores, varias medias directivas de padres de familia en diferentes escuelas, desde primero hasta 12º. Y eso es lo que me trae aquí. Porque la decisión que van a tomar ustedes afecta no nomás a ustedes, principalmente acepta para las personas que los pusieron en este lugar. Ustedes están representando a toda la juventud de Laredo de United y deben de hacer lo que es mejor para los estudiantes, no para ustedes mismos, porque ustedes nos están representando. Lo primero que les pido es que sean sinceros con ustedes mismos.
Ya se acabó el tiempo. ¿Quiere terminar?
Sí, quiero terminar.
Le doy unos cuantos segundos más,
No.
señora Lacey.
Los padres de familia no queremos, exigimos que nos den un líder con un récord impecable que nos guíe a nosotros y a nuestros hijos con invocaciones futurísticas. El mundo está cambiando a un ritmo muy acelerado y nuestros estudiantes necesitan más tecnología para competir. No podemos competir fuera de Laredo. No podemos competir en Houston. Los hijos que van a Rice, a Yale, estarían primeros en su clase aquí, pero allí están con todo lo mejor de Estados Unidos. Tienen que ver por los estudiantes.
Muchas gracias,
Y
señora Lacey.
permítanme seguir.
Señora Lacey, tenemos mucha
Yo
más
sé,
gente.
pero no se van a morir por 2 segundos más.
2 segundos.
Pues
No.
ya se pasaron 2 segundos, estoy hablando con usted.
Ándale.
Te permita. Todos sabemos que solamente el 20% de los graduados terminan sus estudios universitarios. ¿Y el otro 80% qué pasa? Se quedan aquí en Laredo, ¿haciendo qué? Nada. No tienen una vida digna. Y sin dignidad Un hombre no es un hombre y una mujer no es una mujer.
Muchas gracias, señora Lacey. Ya tenemos que continuar con la
La
segunda.
señora Rendón es la líder que posee las cualidades necesarias para lidiar y guiar este distrito.
Señora Lacey, muchas
Este
gracias.
distrito, a base de muchísimos años,
Señora Lacey, le
para
estamos
hacer
pidiendo que por
exactos
favor.
34 años de experiencia.
Muchas gracias. Gracias. All right, so next person we have, I believe it's Laura Fernandez for State Representative Richard Raymond. I think it's correct, Fernandez? Yes? Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon, esteemed board. My name is Laura Fernandez. I am here on behalf of State Representative Richard Raymond. He states, I am sorry I could not be with you today, as I am in Austin working at the state capitol. It is my understanding you will soon decide who will succeed my good friend Bobby Santos as superintendent. Normally, I would not ask to address you on your search for Bobby's replacement. I am aware you will interview 3 very capable candidates. However, there have been some who publicly stated I have passed legislation changing requirements for superintendent. For the record, that is not true. Plain and simple, I respectfully ask that you make your decisions based on truth, not rumor. That is what we should strive to teach our students. I respect people's rights to express their opinion. And if I were casting a vote today, I would do so for Mike Garza, because I have worked with Mike for well over a decade on issues of importance to Laredo. I believe he would be an exceptional superintendent, but I do not have a vote. It is up to you and only you, as our board, to decide. Please know, whoever you choose,
We want to wrap up your comments real quick, your thoughts?
whoever you choose will have my full support as we work on solving education issues facing Laredo, Texas. Good luck and God bless you, our administrators, teachers, children, and parents.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next individual, Mr. Raul G. Salinas.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the board. My name is Raul Salinas. I come before you to highly and fervently recommend my friend and former colleague, Mike Garza, for the position of superintendent of UISD. I have known Mike for almost 2 decades. I first met him when I was running for mayor years ago, and although he was supporting my opponent, we became good friends, and we worked very well together for the betterment of the city of Laredo. And oh, by the way, he gave me water along the way in the campaign trail. But on a serious note, during my 2 terms as mayor of this great city, I had the opportunity to work with Mike on numerous projects for the city. Mike was an exceptional council member, hardworking, dedicated, accessible, responsible, proactive, caring, always putting people first. He had an open door policy and constantly hosted town hall meetings with his constituents. He was definitely a hands-on councilman who truly cared about the people and their needs, especially the poor. He helped many toy, food, and clothing drives for the less fortunate in his district. He has a big heart, and he cares about people, he cares about students. Amongst his accomplishments...
Time's up. Do you want to finish up your thoughts, Mr. Salinas?
Yes. Let me just say that he was instrumental in the construction of a much-needed public library in South Laredo, the first state-of-the-art recreational center, and the much-needed Cuatro Vientos extension, which is important to UISD. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike has 23 years of high-level experience, administrative experience in various departments. He's an exceptional mediator, accessible, transparent, respectful, kind-hearted, loyal, of high integrity, and a true leader. He's a problem solver and gets the job done.
Thank you, Mr.
In-
Salinas. I'm gonna
In
have.
closing, I just want to thank you for this
sir.
opportunity.
Thank
God
you,
bless
sir.
you all. Un fuerte abrazo y gracias a ustedes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next individual, Ms. Olivia Infante.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Buenas tardes.
Mi presencia aquí es para apoyar a Mr. David González. Brevemente les diré que es una persona responsable. No sé cuántos años de experiencia tenga, pero 15 años en este círculo de educación especial me han sido suficientes para decirles con seguridad que el señor Roberto Santos puede ir y dejar su trabajo a una persona responsable, inteligente, convive con los padres, con los hijos, se va a los salones a ver qué está haciendo, se involucra demasiado. Mi hijo ahorita está saliendo de high school, asesorado por él, de Cherry está saliendo, es un niño con autismo de 22 años, con miras al colegio, y nada más no es para mí, es para todos los que están en el círculo. Le aseguro, señor Roberto Santos, que mejor que él no van a escuchar, no lo van a encontrar. Él es una persona adecuada para este puesto. Es todo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, señor Infante. Next individual, Mr. Armando Javier Picasso III.
Good afternoon. Dear United ISD Board of Trustees, my name is Armando Javier Picasso. It is with much pleasure and confidence that I recommend Mr. Joseph Michael Garza for the position of United Independent School District Superintendent. Mr. Garza's 23 years in education administration have given him a broad range of experiences that have prepared him well for this new challenge. He is a person who has strong communication skills, a problem solver, self-disciplined, self-motivated, and a visionary. I am most grateful for his involvement in the establishing of the MOS Public Library in South Laredo, a facility my 3 children and countless others continue to benefit from to this very day. Having attended United Independent School District himself, I have no doubt that Mr. Garza will be an asset that will continue to seek the enrichment of our education system. It is for these reasons that I, along with many others, highly recommend Mr. Garza for the position of superintendent. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys.
Mr. Picasso, thank you very much for your comments. Next individual, Mr. Jose Ariasola. Jose Ariasola.
Good afternoon, members of the board, President Vélez. My name is Jose Arrazola, for the record. I'm a very proud Finley Phantom, Washington Bobcat, and United Longhorn, a product of United ISD. Today, I'm here to talk on behalf of a man that needs no introduction. Not only that, I'm also here to talk on behalf of a generation of students that have been impacted by the leadership and mentorship of this great man. Mr. David Gonzalez was my principal at George Washington Middle School, and ever since then, he has always followed me in my educational journey. He has celebrated victories with me and mourned losses with me. As a guide and as a mentor, he has always been there for me. Mr. Gonzalez was there for me when I graduated and walked the stage in 2018. I shared that moment of victory with him, and as a student, it was the nicest way to wrap up my public education experience. The man who welcomed me as a little 11-year-old boy on my first day of middle school and who pushed me to become the best version of myself handed me my diploma that day. I am here to state clearly who parents, teachers, and students want. I am here to highlight the people's choice, the choice for students and the choice that will inspire generations of leaders to come. I see him in that position because he cares for the students and not the chair or the title. If this position were to be given to him, our school district would be completely reimagined for the next 15 to 20 years. We need a new vision with new ideas, but not only that, someone with a track record of success. His love for students goes way beyond the position. Something that has always resonated with me is his passion and dedication to our special education students. He created the Meet in the Middle initiative in GWMS, something that later became...
Time's up. That is all I want to finish.
Yeah, thank you. He always was and continues to be a champion for education and our children. Choose someone who believes in our students and their power to accomplish their dreams. Choose Mr. David H. Gonzalez. Thank you, sir.
That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next individual, Ms. Ana C. Gutierrez. Good evening, ma'am.
Members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here this evening to voice my support for an individual that I have a lot of respect for. This is Mr. Mike Garza. Mr. Garza has served our community in city council for 2 terms and worked with millions of dollars and brought lots of money to our community. He also is a product of UISD and is a current assistant superintendent and works with departments that are very important, especially attendance, which brings in money to our districts. And I also want to say that he has 20 years plus experience, and I think he's up for the challenge. And I urge you to consider Mr. Garza as your next superintendent, and he will take us to the next level of excellence in education for United Independent School District. Thank you.
Ms. Gutierrez, thank you for your comments. Mr. Joe Cruz is the next individual.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for the opportunity here. Come to you as a parent, as a, booster club president. Been around this district for long years, work hand in hand with the teachers, with all the students, and the parents. I want to voice my concern. Mr. Mike Garza has brought a lot to our district, especially to my wife, that's a teacher, my brothers and my sisters-in-law that are educators. He's always been there for us. And South Side, he has, like everybody else has said, he has brought a lot of money, open parks, has done a lot for the children, and that's what we need. Somebody that looks out for the children, somebody that is going to follow his steps. It's a great foundation that you guys have, but we need a little bit of reinforcement. And I think Mr. Mike Garza is that man. Thank you so much.
Mr. Cruz, thank you for your comments. Next individual, Mr. Jose Enrica Isnaola. Isnaola.
Good evening, members of the board, and good evening to everybody here in this forum. My name is Jose Isnaola, and I'm here with my wife, Erika Isnaola, to speak about Ms. Gloria Rendon.
As parents of a special education child, we have always worried about the future of our son. All the teachers that have touched his life have been extremely helpful in his development. However, Ms. Rendon, even though she is part of UISD's administrative team, has also played an important role in his academic development.
As a district administrator, she has helped us make sure that our son receives appropriate academic services, and in talking to other parents, we know that she has the best interests of the students at heart. For that reason, we were happy to hear that Ms. Rendon has been considered as one of the finalists for the position of superintendent of UISD.
Hopefully, she gets the opportunity to serve the students and parents of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next individual, Mr. Miguel Silva.
Good evening, board members. It gives me a great pleasure to recommend Mr. Michael Garza for the position of United Independent School District Superintendent. I've had the pleasure of knowing Mr. Garza due to me being a resident of District 1. I have nothing but the highest respect for Mr. Garza, work ethic. In addition, he has great skills that make a great leader, and I believe that those skills will help him flourish as a superintendent. Furthermore, he has a multitude of educational administrative experience, and he has served in other positions throughout the district that have seen growth due to him. For example, one of his most important accomplishments has been the forefront of presentations and outreach that has led to millions of dollars and totals of district funding since 2003, enabling the district to keep on growing. Additionally, Mr. Garza was a city council member for Laredo for 8 years, in which he did amazing jobs for South Laredo. I have no doubt that Mr. Garza is the superintendent that is needed in order to keep United Independent School District as one of the best districts in Texas. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Silva, for your comments. Final individual is going to be Ms. Ruby L. Chapa.
Buenas tardes. Distinguidos miembros de la mesa directiva y público en general.
Me presento aquí ante ustedes como madre de familia y miembro de esta gran comunidad que es el distrito escolar. Mi presencia aquí es para apoyar al señor Mike Garza como futuro superintendente de este distrito. El señor Mike Garza ha servido a nuestra comunidad de distrito de una manera ética, responsable y admirable. Su experiencia en el sector provido y su excelente manejo administrativo que ha desempeñado durante los últimos 23 años de carrera aquí en United lo hace el candidato perfecto. El estar al mando de importantes departamentos del distrito, como son el Departamento de Asistencia, el Departamento de Servicio de Apoyo a los Alumnos, el Departamento de Compras y el Departamento de Enfermería, que especialmente durante estos tiempos de pandemia ha jugado un papel muy importante para que el distrito siguiera funcionando sin interrupciones. Bajo su liderazgo se han proveído al distrito de importantes sociedades en las cuales se ha podido llevar a cabo la vacunación y exámenes de COVID en nuestras escuelas a beneficio de nuestros niños y empleados del distrito. También me gusta su trayectoria como voluntario de la preparatoria United South para los niños de la banda y los diferentes deportes. Por todas esas cualidades y muchas más que seguro tiene él y en este momento se me olvidarán, yo apoyo al señor Mike Garza como el siguiente superintendente de ese distrito. También les quiero dar gracias, ¿verdad? Porque por 2 años estuvimos fuera por cuestiones personales de mi familia y mis hijos estuvieron compitiendo con otros estados y también salían muy sobresalientes y todo fue por las bases que tomaron mis hijos aquí en el distrito. Por eso me preocupa mucho por el nuevo superintendente que vaya a quedar. Quiero que sea alguien que sea responsable y que sea dedicado hacia los niños. Y simplemente les quiero dar gracias porque ellos supieron sobresalir en los niveles del estado de Memphis y de Nuevo México. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias. All right, with that, we'll move on to item 5. Closed session time is now 6:02 p.m. The board will adjourn to closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, TGC 551.071 and TGC 551.074. We'll be approximately back probably in the next 2 hours, more or less. Time is 8:15, reconvening from closed session. The board will take appropriate action on items if necessary as discussed. In closed session, item A, action regarding naming finalists for superintendent of schools. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I have a motion, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
My motion for superintendent would be David Gonzalez.
Do we have a
Second, I second that.
A motion by Mr. Rodriguez, a second by Mr. Molina. Any discussion on that?
Sub-motion.
Mr. Montemaro has a sub-motion.
I make a motion that we appoint as our next superintendent our current, or an individual who has been a teacher, a counselor, an administrator, an assistant with the school district, has served under 3 superintendents, is currently serving as our deputy. This individual has handled issues including academics, safety and security, all our issues concerning our pandemics. She is basically the go-to for all principals. She is the go-to for the 2 co-applicants. She handles the implementation of the district's plans, including our academics and our academic programs. I think it is time to show our girls in our community that if they work hard, if they have integrity, and they have discipline, that they can accomplish their goals. My recommendation to this board is that we hire Gloria Rendon.
As the only female on this board, I will second that.
A motion, a second by Ms. Oliveros. Any further discussion on that sub-motion? All in favor for Mr.
Just to be clear, the motion is for both Mr. Rodriguez's and Mr. Montemayor's motion is as finalists for superintendent of schools. So then there's a waiting period of 21 days, and then the board has to come back and then actually approve that person
as the superintendent. So this is gonna be for naming the finalists for the superintendent, both motion and sub-motion.
But we're voting on what right now?
Finalists, naming the finalists.
Oh, but which motion?
We're gonna vote on the sub-motion, the second one. All right.
Okay, for the
All those-
record.
Any further discussion of sub-motion?
Well, I would discuss, yes, I'd like to say that all three applicants were excellent. There is no doubt in my mind that any one of the three applicants would be an excellent superintendent. And I want to thank the three applicants because it takes a lot. And I know we put you through a lot. Some of the questions were difficult. And I commend you for that. And if you were not selected today, know that in my mind, you have all the qualities that it takes to be a superintendent for United Independent School District. Unfortunately, we can only select one today, but please know that I hold you all three in high regard.
Further, I concur with what Ms. Alisa has said.
I also wanted to make a discussion that I think the person that represents teachers, families, and parents, that's who I chose, in my opinion, and I will vote for, to be able to be that leader. And I think it's something where we are fortunate to have three local leaders before us to make this decision. While it's not an easy decision to make, it's actually a very good decision. So I concur that I think we had excellent candidates, and I think all of them deserve our admiration, and thank you.
Thank you. Real quick, I'll say I want to thank Mr. Gonzalez, Ms. Rendon, Mr. Garza for obviously applying for our vacancy. It's going to be a real hard decision for us as board members, but I think as other board members have mentioned, all of you are extremely qualified, experienced, and are really capable to lead this district forward. So with that said, any other comments from the discussion? So we'll vote on that sub-motion, Mr. Montemayor and Ms. Oliveros. All those in favor for Ms. Rendon as a finalist to be the next superintendent for UISD?
Aye.
For Ms. Rendon?
For Ms. Rendon or for Mr. Gonzalez?
This is for, yes.
This is for Ms. Rendon.
Yes.
All right, so,
Aye.
all right, so we.
You're voting for
It's two.
Ms. Rendon?
No, it's for Gonzalez.
All right, so Mr.
Can you
Ramirez.
clarify, sir?
Yeah, Mr. Ramirez, are you voting? This is a sub-motion, voting for what Mr. Montemayor motioned for, which is to name Ms. Rendon, and then we'll go back to the first one.
For the first one.
Okay, so Ms.
Either one could be.
We have to go one in order, so the first one's gonna be for Ms. Rendon, if you say yes, and then we'll go back to the first motion, which is what.
With David Gonzalez.
For Mr. Gonzalez.
I'll go for the first motion.
Okay, so the first one, so on the second one, we have Mr. Montemayor.
Why don't we just say the names? Florida and Dawn?
Gonzalez?
Gonzalez.
Okay, so.
Gonzalez. Gonzalez.
Gonzalez also, obviously, the motion does not pass. Going back to the first motion, do we have to re-vote or?
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to.
Okay, I'm gonna put my motion again. My vote goes to Mr. David Gonzalez for our next
We
superintendent.
had a
as a
second on
final.
that, so,
Have a second? You second?
Mr. Molina has a second. on that.
Second.
So that was the second, so all those in favor for Mr. Gonzalez, the next, or the finalist for UIC?
Do roll, can you do roll?
Yes. On a roll call,
Did you have Mr. Molina,
Mr. Molina,
favor, Mr.
Rodriguez, favor.
Made the motion.
You?
I vote for Mr. Gonzalez as well,
In favor?
in
I'm
favor, Gonzalez Castillo, and Mr. Ramirez. All right, so motion passes. Mr. Gonzalez, congratulations. You were
Congratulations.
named the finalist for UIC. All right, with that, time is 8:22. We're moving to adjournment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.